In this video, I'm going to be discussing my philosophy on how to rap. If you're new here, my name is ColeMize, and I've been helping rappers perfect their rap skills on this channel for the past 11 years. Now, let me just first define rap. I like to think of rap as an acronym, R-A-P, rhythm and poetry. And it's the rhythm, the musical part of rapping, that drives the lyrical part of rapping and makes it sound so awesome over instrumentals. And this is where a lot of rappers struggle when they first start learning how to rap, because they typically focus more on the lyrical side than the musical side. And so they just are writing lyrics on a sheet of paper, and then they try to rap that over an instrumental, and they quickly realize it doesn't sound so good. It doesn't sound as good as their favorite rap songs for some reason. And that's because it's lacking the musicality, the musical part of rapping. And that's why if you look at a lot of the content on my channel, I've focused a lot on the musical side of rapping. I have a free rap course I've created called the 5 Minutes to a Better Rap Flow. I have a whole playlist of nothing but rap flow drills. There's been a lot of content I've created to help you develop your musical skills as a rapper. And here's a pretty hot take I want to start off with, and hear me out before you disregard what I'm saying. You don't have to understand how to rap to be good at rapping. And I know that sounds crazy coming from a channel that teaches you how to rap, and more on that here in just a moment, because I got a few things to say about that too. But you'd be surprised how many of your favorite artists don't understand on a scientific level what they're already doing. Like, if you've ever seen me break down a rapper's song, I break down the rhyme schemes, I break down the rap flows, and I show you this is why it sounds the way it does. And that's my way of teaching and helping you gain a deeper understanding of what you're hearing. But that's not how they made the song. That's just me teaching you and explaining what they did. But when they made this song, they're just going off a feeling, like, oh, that felt right, so that's why I did it that way. And so it's possible to be really good at something, but not be able to understand it in an intellectual way to where you can explain what you're doing to other people, or even teach people how to do what you're doing. Those are two different skills. Being able to do something well and teaching that thing are two different skills. So even when I began teaching people, quote unquote, how to rap, I had to also start studying my own self and why I did things the way that I did them, because I learned just like a lot of your favorite rappers learned just by doing. So like a lot of trial and error. And then over the years, I just learned techniques and I learned things, even if I didn't intellectually understand what they were, I learned to do things a certain way because it was like the most efficient way or the most effective way to get the end result I was trying to go for by ear. But I will say this, understanding how to rap, understanding how it works certainly can help you out. It can expedite that learning process, that development process. And it can also, I think, help you even become a better rapper because, or we'll say a more diverse rapper, because if you have that understanding, then you can keep pushing things in different directions of ways that you may not have thought of once you understand it. So we can demystify this thing that we're doing called rapping, and it can give you even more ideas of things that you could try out you normally wouldn't do. And speaking of what we normally do, as you're developing your rap skills and your rap style, there's a reason behind why you do the things that you do. And one of the things that we're going after as we're rapping is we're trying to make something that sounds good, right? And one of the major methods of doing that in music is creating patterns. And so I like to think of this as like 3 Ps. Predictable patterns equals a payoff. And so the patterns is what allows some predictability about what you're doing and allows people to follow along with it and make sense of it. If there was no patterns in the music that you're listening to, or in the rhymes or your rap flow or any of that, then it would just all be random and it would sound chaotic and people could not follow along and enjoy it. But here's the other side of that, and this is also what tends to something sounding good and being interesting, is constant changes equals curiosity. So while having patterns and predictability about what you're doing is important to follow along, if it becomes too predictable, then it can become boring. And so constant changes equals curiosity. So having curiosity and not being able to predict where an artist is going to go the first time you listen to something can keep you invested in it, and it can keep giving you new things, new patterns to follow along to, which makes it really sticky and interesting. Imagine a magician who just kept doing the same trick over and over and over again. The first time they do it, it was like, wow. And if you still didn't quite catch on to it, they might do it again just because they know it's new to you. And it still may be like, wow. But if they do it like 15 times, it's like, okay, I get it. Like, let's move on to something else. Now, how you create patterns and predictability, and also how you keep changes happening to create curiosity, leads me to my next point. And that is, I can't teach you how to rap. And I know that sounds crazy because you may think of me as someone who's teaching people how to rap. I like to think of what I'm doing with this channel is not necessarily teaching you how to rap, but I'm giving you all the techniques and tools that I know of to hand off to you and then let you determine how you want to use those to create the type of music that you desire to create. That's like me handing you a picture of some mountains and I'm like, hey, here's how you paint these mountains. Well, you could like do an exact copy of it and it literally just looked like that. That's one way you could do it, but there's so many different ways you could paint that same picture. You could distort it. You could do it from different angles. You could completely manipulate the colors and the saturations and the shadows and the highlights. And there's so many different ways that you could interpret that in a very interesting and unique way. And that's why I say I can't necessarily teach you how to rap. It's up to you on how you want to rap. And that may even change from song to song, from instrumental to instrumental. The way that you rap over an instrumental that's slower and kind of has more of a trap R&B vibe may be totally different than how you would rap over more of like a boom bap East Coast type beat. And this is why I say at the end of all my videos, I always remember when it comes to rapping, there's no rules, there's only techniques. And that's exactly what I mean. So I'm not here teaching you rules. You can think of them more like guidelines, like I'm teaching you why things typically work, why things typically will sound good, but I'm also giving you examples of, hey, you can break that. You don't have to follow that. Like I've done breakdowns on J. Cole where he's had like uneven rhyme schemes. I've done breakdowns on MF Doom where he's doing similar things. And I'm showing you how they're going against some of these guidelines. They're still using them heavily, but they'll still go against them at times. And that makes things unpredictable and interesting. And that goes back to the curiosity thing, right? So there's the element of predictability about what they're doing. People love it, but they're also throwing you some curveballs here and there. And you're like, that's different. That people typically don't do that. I wasn't expecting that. So there's certainly really good guidelines, like have strong rhyme scheme patterns where you're rhyming in relatively the same spot from bar to bar, or also have groove patterns in your rap flow where you're like beginning your bars or ending your bars in similar places. And then you can build upon that, of course, and stuff. But those are general guidelines that will serve you well when you're first learning how to rap. But these aren't walls that you should stay confounded within. It's just understanding like, okay, music is about patterns and that's what gives it predictability. We also need changes that also create curiosity. And then you determine how you want to balance those things and how much change you want and when you want change to happen and how much predictability you want, that type of stuff. Which brings me to another point. What makes a rap good or bad? Like when I hear people say, I want to be the best rapper ever. Like, what does that mean? How do you measure that? Or when somebody says, I want to like write the best rap song ever. What does that mean? How do you measure that? And it's totally subjective because that's going to mean different things to different people. It also goes back to, okay, well, how do you determine if a specific song is good? Again, there's never been universally one song that the whole world just agreed upon that they loved. Jay-Z, Eminem, Michael Jackson, Juice WRLD, fill in the blank, whoever you want to use. There's tons of people who love their songs, and there's also tons of people who don't care for those artists or that song or whatever you're pointing to. And the point that I'm making is this is, art is subjective. And so people have different flavors and different tastes. But what makes a rap good or bad, it really comes back on the person who's creating it, not the person listening to it, because that's subjective. So you really have to ask yourself, what's the intention? Because that's really what determines if you did a good job or not with your rap or with your song. What were you trying to do? Like there may be some songs that you do where your intention is like, I just want to show off how technically skilled I am. So I want to show off like how fast I can rap. I want to show off like how much I can rhyme and I can juggle multiple rhyme schemes and stuff like that. And that might be the goal. Now with that, you might lose some things such as like, some of the lyrics may not make as much sense because you let the rhyme schemes kind of take more of the lead role, or you let the speed of your rapping kind of take the lead role. So like the clarity of some of the words that you're saying or the phrasing of some of the words that you're using may not make as much sense or may not be as poetic because you're having to be really limited when you're rapping with those constraints because you're really trying to focus on rapping fast, which means, okay, there's only a certain amount of combinations of words that I can use that'll allow me to say it this fast. You see what I'm saying? Versus if the goal was, I want to paint a very vivid picture in the mind of the listener about this experience I had in life. And so I'm gonna allow the fast rapping to not be the main thing here. I'm gonna let the rhyme schemes take a back seat. They're gonna be there, but they're not gonna be the prominent thing. And I want like the words I use to be like ultra vivid. Like I want it to be like you're listening to a movie in your head, and that's gonna be the main focus. That's gonna be the main intention, right? Or the intention could be like, I want to make you laugh. You know what I'm saying? So like punchlines is like the main thing. And so while the rhymes are there, the rap flow is certainly going to be there. I'm going to really make sure those don't get in the way of me, like really writing very witty punchlines and setting them up and giving myself plenty of times to set them up to have maximal impact. So what makes a rap good or bad? Intentions. What was the intention behind what you were trying to achieve? And so what I would say, you know, if I were to grade it, is like, well, did it have the balance that was needed to achieve the thing that you were going after? And this brings me back to a final point, which I've already touched on slightly. Art is subjective. So something a lot of rappers struggle with is like, what type of artist should they be? What type of rapper should they be? What type of song should they write? And what I would say is, it's something a lot of people deal with just with being people, you know, and what I would encourage these artists to do is focus on being more secure in who they are. So what I mean by that is an insecure person walks into a room and they are just consumed with anxiety and fear of what everyone else is thinking about them. A secure person will walk into that same room and they're asking themselves what they think about everyone else in the room. You see the difference there? So what I would encourage artists to do is be more secure in the music they're making. Like, make the music you want to hear. Forget what anyone else thinks about it. Like, if you love what you're producing, then you should stand behind that 100%, and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about it. Now, that's not to say that you still don't hear criticism and consider it, because people still may give you feedback on how you can improve upon things. But some stuff you may put out is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not someone's flavor or their taste. And that's totally fine. It's never going to be for everybody. Once again, Eminem, Jay-Z, fill in the blank, whoever. The whole world has never universally loved any of these artists. They have their fan bases. They have the people who love them, and they have the people who aren't fans of their music. And that's okay. So don't try to be everything to everybody, because you'll be miserable. You won't be making music that's true to who you are. And if you're not making music that's true to you, then that means that whatever fans you do get, they're not fans of you. They're not really fans of your music. They're fans of the music that you made because you thought they would like it. That's like you becoming friends with people who's interested in things you're not really interested in, but you just pretended to be just so they would like you. Don't do that. Don't do that. So art is subjective, different flavors for different people. So make the music that you want to hear. And with all that being said, I think that's what your focus should be as you're quote unquote learning how to rap or how to use all these tools in a way that you like to make the music that you want to hear. And that's my goal on this channel, is to help give you those tools, those techniques for you to learn, to help speed up the process of you learning how to rap and to make the music that you want to hear. And if you're serious about improving your rap skills, then I have something for you that you're going to absolutely love, and it's 100% free. It's called the Rap Essentials Bundle, and it includes the #1 fundamental to rapping ebook, bar sheets to map out your rap flows, 6 practice instrumentals, the CMS gear catalog, 3 free rap courses, plus I'll personally send you my most essential rap tutorials covering all the core techniques that you need to level up your skills fast. And this is all yours for free when you join my mailing list via the link in the description. Once again, I'm ColeMize with ColeMizeStudios.com, and always remember, when it comes to rapping, there's no rules, there's only techniques. Peace. Hey man, you see that subscribe button right there? Kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. Oh, and don't forget the bell icon. Kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. Hey, I know you see that like button, right? Kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. And look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, today I'm gonna kill it, kill it.